Hey everybody. So I wanted to make this video to showcase this game that I created with Bard. It's called the Project-Based Learning Game, and I've experimented with a lot of different large language models, including ChatGPT and others, and I've found that no other LLM model can recreate kind of the same creative experience that the project-based learning game can with Bard. And so I am building out an app version of this. It's going to be built out on Vertex AI, which utilizes the PaLM-based architecture, which is the same architecture that is utilized and powers Bard. So it will be the app version of this will be fully built out off of that architecture and will streamline all of this. But the goal of this video and this document that we're looking at here is to offer this for anyone that wants to actually utilize it on their own, and offer the version essentially that I created initially that is going to be what is going to be the app that is in development. And then so the project-based learning game is very straightforward. Essentially, how it works is, so I have two kids, and one day I was experimenting with my kids, and my son was talking about Kirby, and so I write it out here. My personal experiences that led me to creating the app, and so he started asking scientific questions about Kirby. For example, like he was interested in, okay, so if Kirby's made of air, when he swallows things, what happens? Like, does he turn into other like chemicals, or how exactly does that work? And my son is 6, and then so he was really interested in these questions, and then so we dove into with Bard and kind of essentially created this into a learning path and a learning game. And then so essentially the path is that you start with a generalized concept, learn about the generalized concept, and then turn that into an experiment-based project that you can utilize that is age appropriate, and then that utilizes resources that you have available. So for example, if you just have household resources, then it can create a simple project. If you want to create more complex projects, then the goal is that, like, by utilizing deep learning and LLM technology, that you can essentially create any sort of project-based learning game that you would want. And then so the goal is that the game changes every time based off of different scenarios, based off of essentially any different factor that you could think of. And so I think the simplest way forward, I'll link the documentation in the description, so anyone that wants to read through the documentation that I've written so that you can run through these same things can do it. But I think what the best way to do for this would be to show an illustration of playing the project-based learning game with Bard. So just really straightforward. I've got Bard here, and then this is a brand new chat, so there's no sort of like pre-prompting, anything like that whatsoever. Just, hi Bard. Sorry, just writing out this prompt. And this is just a random prompt that I thought of to generate for this video. So, hi Bard, my son would like to play the project-based learning game. He is 6 years old. He's interested in exploring the idea of why airplanes can fly even though they're heavier than air. Hi there. That's a great question for a project-based learning game. Here are some ideas for your son can explore the idea of why airplanes can fly even though they're heavier than air. 1. Build a paper airplane. This is a classic way to learn about the forces that keep an airplane in the air. Your son can experiment with different wing shapes and sizes to see how they affect the lift of the airplane. 2. Make a model of an airplane wing. This will help your son visualize how to shape the wing that creates lift. You can use cardboard, plastic, or even clay to make the model. Do some research on Bernoulli's principle. The principle explains how the difference in air pressure above and below an airplane wing creates lift. There are many resources available online in libraries that can help your son learn about Bernoulli's principle. Watch some videos of airplanes taking off and landing. This will help your son see how forces of lift and gravity work together to keep an airplane in the air. You can find videos of airplanes on YouTube or other video sharing websites. Visit an airport. So lists out essentially different things that we can do and different experiments that we can do to essentially explore this idea of in project-based ways and learn more about exactly why an airplane flies. And then so we can, at this point, perform these experiments and then go through and then come back and ask questions, or we can essentially ask questions and explore further within this concept. So let's say, for example, my son decides to build a paper airplane, but beforehand he wants to understand kind of more of the fundamentals of this. So say, thank you. Cool. So I just said thank you. My son has decided to build a paper airplane for this experiment. Before the experiment begins, can you explain in terms that a 6-year-old would understand what is happening in terms of lift, and specifically include what is happening to the air around the airplane model or around the paper airplane? Sure, I can do that. Here's an explanation of lift in terms that a 6-year-old would understand. Air pressure. Air has weight, and the weight of the air pushing down on something is called air pressure. The more air there is, the more air pressure there is. Airfoil. An airfoil is a shape that helps to create lift. The most common type of airfoil is the airplane wing. Bernoulli's principle. Bernoulli's principle says that the faster air moves, the lower the air pressure is. When an airplane is flying, the airfoil of the wing causes the air to move faster over the top of the wing than it does over the bottom of the wing. The difference in air pressure creates lift. So essentially what we can see, and then she, it lays out also an experiment of Bernoulli's principle that essentially we can lay out and how to demonstrate it. Showing us exactly how to blow a stream of air across the piece of paper. So giving us essentially like an additional experiment that we can perform while we're performing the paper airplane experiment. And the thing that I like about BARD specifically with this is the amount of creativity that you can take within this game and break it down. So, for example, in this example, we're talking about Bernoulli's principle a lot. So, let's say perfect. So then in this instance, we can take it a step further and can you craft a fictional children's story that explains Bernoulli's principle to a 6-year-old? And then, so this is the power to me of Bard in this particular instance, is you can't get stories with a prompt like that with any other model like this. So once upon a time, there was a little girl named Lily who loved to fly. She would spend hours watching airplanes in the sky, and she dreamed of one day being a pilot herself. One day, Lily was playing in the park when she saw a group of kids making paper airplanes. She asked if she could join them, and she showed her how to fold a paper airplane. Lily's first paper airplane didn't fly well, but she kept practicing. Soon, she was able to make paper airplanes that flew long distances. One day, Lily was flying her paper airplane when she noticed something strange. The paper airplane was flying higher and higher, even though she wasn't throwing it very hard. Lily wondered why her paper airplane was flying so well. She asked her dad, and he explained Bernoulli's principle to her. Bernoulli's principle says that the faster air moves, the lower the air pressure is. When Lily's airplane flew through the air moved faster over the top of the wing than it did over the bottom of the wing. The difference in air pressure created lift, which lifted the paper airplane up into the air. Lily was so excited to learn about Bernoulli's principle. She realized that this was the reason why airplanes could fly. She couldn't wait to start making paper airplanes that flew even higher. And then Bard will also give, just highlighting different iterations and different versions of the story as well. So you can also pick and choose, and it's a cool highlight. But so the amount of creativity that's involved in these learning adventures that you can create very specifically with Google Bard is why I like this platform very specifically for this game. And then with the instructions, and I give kind of example templates here, how you can break out and play this game itself. So my hope is that anyone could utilize this to create essentially their own versions of the project-based learning game. And then, as mentioned, I do have in development an app version of this game as well that will it'll be a freemium model, so anyone would be able to still access the app and play the game for free. And then there'll be additional benefits and features as well involved in the app. But this is just designed to essentially showcase the general idea, how simple it is to come up with ideas that you want to utilize for AI, and then how you can utilize AI for basically like lots of different scenarios, especially in learning based platforms and things like that. So I hope you like this type of content, and please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.